Hey writing class, welcome back to another lesson. For yesterday's class, we looked at lesson 27, parts A, B, C, and D. You guys did an awesome job in part A adding in your missing commas after each sentence that began with a part that tells when. For part B, you guys did a great job adding in your quotation marks, your commas if it was a statement, and your question marks if it was a question. For part C, you guys did amazing work making sure that the words he and she and it are clear. And then in part D, you guys had to start each sentence by listing off the various items. So you guys once again did a fantastic job adding in your commas between each item. And then for the last item, you had to add the word and. So great work. For today's class, we're going to be looking and focusing on part E. So I will read what it says in your book. So please find part E on your workbook or on your worksheet that's attached. You're going to write 2 paragraphs that tell what happened. So the first sentence is given to you in the very first box. I'll read it to you. It says, Bob talked to the zookeeper while his sister Leslie went to look at the bears. So that will be the first sentence of your first paragraph. Remember, before you can write your first sentence, you need to indent. So you're going to leave around 2 finger spaces between the margin. So I'll keep reading what it says. And then you have an exact sentence or exact words that Leslie said in the second box that you will also need to include in your first paragraph. I'll read what it says. Leslie's exact words are, "Help me. I fell into the bear pit." So you're going to have to include quotation marks around that. Then you're going to describe what's happening in that first picture. For your second paragraph, there is no beginning sentence for the second paragraph. So you're going to have to write one yourself. The best way to do that is to look at the first picture and to look at the next picture, and then write what happened between those 2 pictures. So the first paragraph tells about the problem. The problem is that Leslie fell into the bear pit. The second paragraph will tell how the problem was solved. So here's a good beginning sentence for the second paragraph. The zookeeper and Bob knew they had to act quickly. So if we look at that first picture, we see that Leslie fell into the bear pit. And then we see in the next picture that they're trying to rescue her. Let's continue on. And underneath your pictures, we have some key words that you can use in your paragraph. So I'll tell you, or I'll say the words that are written there. We have the word bear, elephant's trunk, cage, climbed, new, fixed, fence, broke, tumbled, leaned, lifted, and terrified. So you can add in those words within your paragraph. And then we have 4 checks on the bottom. So once we're done writing our paragraph, we have to make sure that we have these 4 checks. So I'll read them for you. Check 1 says, is each sentence punctuated correctly? Make sure that we're starting each sentence with a capital letter and ending each sentence with a period. Check 2 says, did you tell all the important things that must have happened? Once again, look at the picture and try to describe all of the important things that are happening in that picture. Check 3 says, did you use the words he, she, and it so they are clear? Remember, before you can use the words he, she, and it, you first have to introduce the person or the item. And then check 4 asks us, did you write at least 2 sentences that begin with a part that tells when? So once again, within your 2 paragraphs, 2 of your sentences need to begin with a part that tells when. This could include any of the words such as after, next, soon, before, sometimes. So make sure that at least 2 of your sentences begin with at least 1 part that tells when. So we can write the first paragraph together in today's lesson, and then I will ask you to write your second paragraph on your own. So once again, the first sentence, if we look at the box, is given to us which is right here. So I'm going to write that first sentence down. I'm going to draw this line to show that this is my indent. So the first sentence is going to be Bob talked to the zookeeper while his sister Leslie went to look at the bears. So there is my first sentence. Notice I indented. I started the sentence with a capital, and then each person's name I also capitalized, and then I ended my sentence with a period. Now let's look at the first picture and see what kind of things we can describe. Right, we noticed that Leslie fell into the bear pit. We can try to include one of our parts that tell when. So perhaps we can use the word suddenly. Right? Remember, if we use a part that tells when at the beginning of a sentence, we need to add a comma. So our next sentence, we can write, suddenly, Leslie slipped and fell. Suddenly. But because I have included or mentioned Leslie in the previous sentence, my next sentence, I can just use the word she. So suddenly, she fell into the pit. Suddenly, she fell into the pit. So there is my next sentence. Right, once again, I have my part that tells when, suddenly. After that, I needed my comma. I replaced the word Leslie with the word she because I already introduced Leslie in the previous sentence. Right, now let's try to use the exact words that Leslie said. So Leslie said, so we can write, she said, right, after the word said, I need my comma, and then my quotation marks will go around the exact words that Leslie said, which are, help me, I fell into the bear pit. Help me, period. We do not add our quotation marks after the end of the first sentence. We'll add our ending quotation marks at the end of both sentences. Help me, I fell into the bear pit, period, end of my quotation marks. So once again, for my third sentence, right, I've already introduced Leslie, so I can write she said, then I need my comma, quotation mark, help me, I fell into the bear pit, period, and then I need my closing quotation mark. So now we can write the beginning of, or the first sentence of our next paragraph. So we've described what happened in the first picture. So we said that a good start or a good sentence for our second paragraph can be, the zookeeper and Bob knew they had to act quickly. So once again, I'm going to add this line to show that I am indenting for my second paragraph, and then I'll write that sentence down. The zookeeper and Bob knew they had to act quickly. Period. So now, let me show you. We have our first paragraph, which I indented. We wrote, Bob talked to the zookeeper while his sister Leslie went to look at the bears. Suddenly, which is our first word or part that tells when, she fell into the pit. Once again, I used the word she to replace Leslie. My next sentence then said, she said, I needed my comma, quotation marks, help me, I fell into the bear pit, period, ending quotation mark. This line here represents the beginning of my second paragraph, so this is where I would indent. Then I have, the zookeeper and Bob knew they had to act quickly, right? Period. Once again, I capitalized all of the names. Now what I want you to do is to finish off this second paragraph. So look at the bottom two pictures. So in one of the pictures, you're going to have to include a quotation or exact words that the zookeeper said. And then you're going to describe all of the important things that must have happened in those two pictures. Once you are done, please check over your 4 checks to make sure that you have completed everything. So in check 1, make sure you have each sentence is punctuated correctly. Check 2, make sure that all the important things that you described, all the important things that must have happened. Check 3, make sure you use the words he, she, and it so they are clear. And then check 4, make sure that at least 2 of your sentences begin with a part that tells when. We included one part that tells when, which was the word suddenly, in the first paragraph. So now in the second paragraph, you're going to have to include one more. Great work, guys, and I can't wait to see your awesome paragraphs. Bye!